You know, that factory down the road, the laptop on your desk, even the chair you're sitting in. If a company owns them, you might not realize it, but they each have this hidden life story. And today, we're going to crack open the accountant's rulebook to see exactly how that story gets told.
So, let me ask you this. What on earth could a giant factory, a little laptop, and a delivery van possibly have in common? I mean, they seem totally different, right? But in the world of accounting, they're actually all part of the same family, and they all play by the same set of rules.
And that's where this one powerful accounting rule comes in, IAS 16. Think of it as the official rulebook for what accountants call property, plant, and equipment, or just PPE for short. It's basically the guide for all of a company's big, physical, long-term stuff. So here's our game plan. We're going to follow the complete life of an asset. We'll start with what even counts as stuff, how it gets on the books, figuring out its real cost, then we'll track its life story, and finally, say our goodbyes. Then we'll wrap up with why getting all this right is so incredibly important.
Okay, first things first. In the eyes of an accountant, what actually qualifies as stuff? What gets the official title of property, plant, and equipment?
It really boils down to 3 key tests. Number 1, it has to be tangible. You got to be able to physically touch it. 2, it's got to be long-term, meaning the company plans to use it for more than a year. And 3, it's got to be for business, whether that's making things, renting it to someone else, or just helping run the office.
But, just fitting the definition isn't quite enough to get on the balance sheet. Before that can happen, an item has to pass this critical 2-part test.
And here they are, the 2 golden rules, the gatekeepers, really. First, is it probable that this thing will make the company money in the future? And second, can we measure what it cost, like reliably? If you can confidently say yes to both of those, then congratulations, it's officially an asset. All right, so our asset passed the test. It's in the club. Now, what's its official price tag? This is where things get interesting, because the cost is almost never just the sticker price. We have to figure out what gets capitalized and what gets expensed. And here's the big idea. You capitalize, which is just a fancy way of saying you add to the asset's value on the books all the costs that were absolutely necessary to get it up and running. But other costs, like, say, staff training or a big launch party, nope, those have to be expensed right away.
Here's a super handy way to remember what to capitalize. Just think MDTT. That's for M materials, D direct labor, T testing costs, and T transport and site prep. All of these get bundled right into the asset's official cost on the balance sheet.
And on the flip side, we have the taco costs. These are the ones you have to expense immediately. We're talking training, general admin overheads, ceremonial costs, and any initial operational losses. These are considered the cost of doing business today, not part of the asset's long-term value. So, our asset is now on the books at exactly the right cost, but its story is really just getting started. The next chapter is all about tracking how its value changes while the company's using it.
And right here, companies come to a fork in the road. For each whole class of assets, like say all their buildings or all their vehicles, they have to choose a path. Are they going to stick with a simple cost model, or are they going to use the more complex revaluation model and update the value to what it's worth now?
And here's the thing, no matter which path they choose, there's a process that's almost always happening in the background, depreciation. Now, think of it this way. It has nothing to do with the asset's resale value. It's just the accountant's way of systematically spreading the asset's cost over the years it's being used up.
This brings us to a classic question, and honestly, it's a huge deal in the real world and a favorite for exams. When exactly does that depreciation clock start ticking? The day you buy it? The day you first turn it on? Let's clear this up.
And the answer is absolutely crucial. Depreciation begins the moment the asset is available for use, not when it's actually being used. So if a new machine is fully installed and ready to rock on June 1st, the clock starts ticking on June 1st, even if it just sits there completely idle until September. Now, what about something really complex, like an airplane? Well, IAS 16 is pretty smart about this. It requires what we call component accounting. Instead of depreciating the whole $10 million plane in one go, you break it down. The airframe might last 30 years, but the engines, maybe only 15. Depreciating them separately gives a much more accurate picture of what's going on.
Well, everything comes to an end, and eventually, every asset reaches the end of its useful life with the company. Whether it gets sold, traded in, or just tossed in the scrap heap, it has to come off the books.
So how does that work?
It's a really logical four-step process. First, you figure out its final book value, what we call its carrying amount. Then, you see how much cash you actually got for it. The difference between those two is either a gain or a loss, and that gets reported on the income statement for the period. Simple as that.
So why do we go through all this trouble? All these rules might seem a little intense, but it all comes down to one absolutely critical idea: trust. Following IAS 16 properly means that when anyone, investors, banks, you name it, looks at a company's financial reports, they're seeing a fair, consistent, and comparable picture of what's going on.
And believe me, getting it wrong can have some pretty serious consequences. Little mistakes, like capitalizing training costs, starting depreciation late, or totally forgetting that you never ever depreciate land, can really distort how healthy a company looks on paper. So the next time you pick up a financial report and you see that line for property, plant, and equipment, you'll know it's not just a number. It's a whole story. A story about decisions, about life cycles, and about value. And now you can ask the real question: what story are those assets really telling you?